Fat Vito in the house again. We're continuing with Fat Vito's comic book collections. Comic books of classic comedians. Now, along with the Jerry Lewis comic, which I showed you in the last issue, which lasted from the 60s, the 50s, when it was the Martin Lewis comic book, all the way to the 70s. That's how popular Jerry Lewis was. Then you also had, by DC, at the time Superman DC was called, the Bob Hope comic book, which lasted from the late 40s all the way to the late 60s. And what they did with Bob Hope, because it was the 60s when the rock and roll era, and they added a character, eventually later on, a character called Super Hip. He was a rock and roll guy with superpowers. They cashed in on the rock and roll and superhero craze at the same time. Plus, part of Super Hip's band was the Universal Monsters, which made a renaissance at that time. And you got in Super Hip's band, you got Count Dracula, the Frankenstein monster, I think this is Dracula's bride or daughter or something, and a very little wolf man. And there's Bob Hope looking on. His comic book got completely taken over by the Super Hip character and the Universal Monsters. Very strange. Very surreal. Okay, now, we were talking about comedy team comic books, the Three Stooges, Long Hardy, Abbott Costello, Martin Lewis, Jerry Lewis, Bob Hope comedians. Here's a very rare treat, something I came upon, and very, very rare indeed. This is a tease, and you're going to have to watch the next video to find out.